Okay, my name is Pierre Pradervand. I'm originally from Switzerland, but I really consider myself a citizen of the world. I've had a very long professional career, over 55 years. I've traveled and lived and studied in over 40 countries of the 5 continents. I've had a very rich and privileged life in so many ways, meeting so many exciting people and having my hardships as well as my happy encounters. And all that has made for a very rich life. And I'm deeply grateful, really. And I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the world, who's the person I admire most on the planet. So I couldn't have it better. So to start with the first story this is on blessing. I was working in Switzerland, in French-speaking Switzerland, in the early 80s after 11 years in Africa, on a new program for schools on North-South information. At the time, there was nothing in Swiss schools on third world issues. And I created this program and I did it with immense enthusiasm. I loved my work. And I wanted to create a roving exhibit on hunger. It cost quite a lot of money. And I made a proposal to my sponsors. These are 4 Swiss non-governmental organizations working in the field of development to end hunger, amongst other things. And they said, Pierre, we don't have any money in the budget. You have to drop the project. Well, I took from my personal savings the equivalent today in dollars of at least $25,000 out of my own savings to create this exhibit, which went very, very well. And the press even talked about it. Then at the same time, I joined a worldwide project called the Hunger Project, which started in the United States, the aim of which was the end of hunger for the year 2000. Because this project came from the US and the organizations I worked for was sort of leftist, because they did not approve at all of the method we used, we went into the streets and got people to sign cards against hunger. They forbidden me to speak about this campaign, which created great success in schools. And so here were organizations fighting hunger, forbidding me to speak about a campaign on ending hunger in the world. Really, it was the world turned upside down. I continued using the slogan of the campaign, the end of hunger for the year 2000, which would have been still possible if there'd really been a political will. Because I worked in Africa, I told you, I was one of the founding members of the largest grassroots peasant organization on the whole continent, based in Burkina Faso. One day I was convened to a meeting. There were no minutes whatsoever held about the meeting. And the fellow who'd manipulated all his colleagues into getting this started the meeting by saying, I am an atheist. Now that had nothing to do with the aims of the meeting. But I understood much later why this had happened. And they told me, either you stop saying we can end hunger by the year 2000 in the schools because the Hunger Project says it, or then you quit your work. Can you imagine organizations fighting hunger? So of course I didn't want to commit a moral harakiri and I quit my job. But I developed the most immense resentment in the following months against the people who'd done this. This resentment is something horrible. It's like a rat that is eating at your entrails. And it followed me night and day. I would wake up in the morning. I'd start thinking about this under the shower, taking breakfast, going shopping, everywhere. And it became an obsession. And I knew I had to get rid of it. And I was reading spiritual texts, meditating, praying, doing all the stuff. And nothing happened. It just stuck on. And it was horrible. I realized I was harming myself. And one day, reading the Sermon on the Mount, suddenly the expression, bless those who curse you. But of course, Pierre, it's so simple. You just have to bless them. And on the spot, I started blessing them in their health, in their joy, in their work, in their finances, in their family life, in every conceivable manner. And I just blessed and blessed and blessed. And then suddenly, 3 months later, I was walking in the street and I started blessing people in the street. I do it in the supermarket, on the bus, on the tram, everywhere. I used to take the train a great deal at the time. I walked all the length of every train I was on in both ways to bless every single person on that train. It was something just that had taken me over, and I started having amazing experiences just blessing people, people changing their attitude from one second to another. And then one day I was writing a talk I'd been asked to give in Zurich to an international youth meeting on the theme Healing the World. And I was writing my talk, and suddenly I received a gust of inspiration as never in my life. As never in my life. I was like a scribe under orders, literally. And I started taking, under dictation, this text on blessing. And I started sharing it in my international correspondence. I had quite a wide correspondence at the time. And some of these friends who had themselves large worldwide correspondences started sharing it themselves. And little by little, I started receiving responses from people all around the world saying, it works, it works, it works. So here's the text that I literally received under dictation. Bless this day, for it is already full of unseen good, which your blessings will call forth. For to bless is to acknowledge the unlimited good that is embedded in the very texture of the universe and awaiting each and all. On passing people in the street, on the bus, in places of work and play, bless them. The peace of your blessing will companion them on their way, and the aura of its gentle fragrance will be a light to their path. On meeting and talking to people, bless them in their health, their work, their joy, their relationships to God, themselves, and others. Bless them in their abundance, their finances. Bless them in every conceivable way. For such blessings not only sow seeds of healing, but one day will spring forth as flowers of joy in the waste places of your own life. As you walk, bless the city in which you live, its government and teachers, its nurses and street sweepers, its children and bankers, its priests and prostitutes. The minute anyone expresses the least aggression or unkindness to you, respond with a blessing. Bless them totally, sincerely, joyfully, for such blessings are a shield which protects them from the ignorance of their misdeed and deflects the arrow that was aimed at you. To bless means to wish unconditionally, total, unrestricted good for others and events from the deepest wellspring in the innermost chamber of your heart. It means to hallow, to hold in reverence, to behold with utter awe that which is always a gift from the Creator. He who is hallowed by your blessing is set aside, consecrated, holy, whole. To bless is yet to invoke divine care upon, to think or speak gratefully for, to confer happiness upon, although we ourselves are never the bestower, but simply the joyful witnesses of life's abundance. To bless all without discrimination of any sort is the ultimate form of giving, because those who bless you will never know from whence came the sudden ray of sun that burst through the clouds of their skies, and you will rarely be a witness to the sunlight in their lives. When something goes completely askew in your day, some unexpected event knocks down your plans, and you too also. Burst into blessing, for life is teaching you a lesson, and the very event you believe to be unwanted, you yourself called forth, so as to learn the lesson you might balk against, were you not to bless it. Trials are blessings in disguise, and hosts of angels follow in their path. To bless is to acknowledge the omnipresent universal beauty hidden to material eyes. It is to activate that law of attraction, which it is to attract the law of attraction, which from the furthest part of the universe will bring into your life exactly what you need to experience and enjoy. When you pass a prison, mentally bless its inmates in their innocence and freedom, their gentleness, pure essence, and unconditional forgiveness. For one can only be a prisoner of one's self-image, and a free man can walk unshackled in the courtyard of a jail, just as citizens of countries where freedom reigns can be prisoners when fear lurks in their thoughts. When you pass a hospital, bless its patients in their present wholeness, for even in their suffering, this wholeness awaits in them to be discovered. When your eyes behold a man in tears or seemingly broken by life, bless him in his vitality and joy, for the material senses present but the inverted image of the ultimate splendor and perfection, which only the inner eye beholds. It is impossible to bless and to judge at the same time. So hold continually as a deep, hallowed, intoned thought that desire to bless, for truly then shall you become a peacemaker, and one day you shall everywhere behold the very face of God. And now the postscriptum, which is the most important of the text. P.S. And of course, above all, don't forget to bless the utterly beautiful person you are. So the impact of this text has been amazing. I since wrote a little book on the theme called The Gentle Art of Blessing. I would like to finish with a brief sharing of a profound mystical experience. On the plane, I was working with my mantras, my affirmations, spiritual texts, meditating, and I was sitting next to an unaccompanied young boy. He was about 9, 10 years old, with his address on his chest, his parents' phone and all that. And the stewardess taking care of him was so kind. I've never seen the like of it, as if she were his mother. She was constantly checking if he was okay, and to speak to him with such kindness. I suddenly feel for this woman incredible gratitude, which became literally cosmic gratitude. And I was then mentally thrown out of the plane. I was no longer in the plane. I was no longer in time. I was only in this incredible space where there was nothing else but the feeling of love. Love was the only presence, the only reality, the only law, the only substance, the only cause, the only effect in the whole universe. Everything was on the level of feeling of the heart. Pierre Pradervand, my ego, my mental sphere had totally disappeared. I had no longer sense of being a little Swiss gentleman with a Swiss passport. I was one for some moments with the divine infinite. The divine mind was my mind, and the only thing was a sense of love, overriding absolutely everything else. And then I suddenly came back into the plane. In 5 minutes, the dysentery was gone. But above all, I'd had the most powerful, extraordinary experience in my whole life, which has convinced me that we live in a universe run by this incredible law of love. And if we have either personal or planetary challenges, it is only for our growth, to help us go forward. It's not to punish. Punishment does not exist in this spirit of infinite love, which reigns everything. For me, it is an absolute conviction that love is the supreme law of the universe, and that love is totally loving and cannot see anything else but itself, but light, but love. And I'm so happy to be able to share this deep conviction with your listeners today. Thank you very much, precious friends, for all you are doing, you also, to raise world consciousness, which is the most important thing on the planet today, and we will manage.